Now turn to another city that always has a lot of hope of getting something. We turn to Oakland. There's no question that Mayor Jean Quan's first year in office has been a challenging one. She's faced sharp criticism for her handling of the volatile Occupy Oakland movement, and her car was surrounded by angry activists in Washington, D.C. last week. The loss of state redevelopment funds means city jobs will be cut at a time when the city's budget is tight. Still, Quan balanced the city's budget twice, hired a new city manager, and is still extremely engaged in neighborhood activism. However, there is an effort underway to recall her. KQED's Scott Shafer spoke with Mayor Quan earlier.
Mayor Quan, welcome.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year. Sunday
Thank you very much. Well, your term, you're about a year into it now, and it
almost a year. Almost exactly a year.
And it began with great promise and hope, and it's been a tough year. It's been a tumultuous year, and I want to talk with you a little bit about something that just happened this week, which is the budget. The city is about to lose about $28 million in redevelopment money. There was a kind of a raucous city council meeting on Wednesday night when you kind of rolled out how you're going to balance the budget. There was a lot of anger at that meeting, and I'm just wondering, do you think the anger at these cuts is justified?
You know, it is always hard, and particularly the Oakland employees have given up so much. As you know, I actually think we still have great promise. It's been a very tough year, and yes, when you're a new mayor, there's a lot of optimism, and I faced a lot of challenges, but even then, when I became mayor, I had a $58 million deficit, I had no reserves, and we worked really hard with our employees at the beginning of the year. We got
you got some concessions,
We got
didn't you?
huge concessions. They had given up 5% the year before. They gave up 10% this year. The police, who had never paid into their pensions, paid into their pensions, and everybody went to two-tier on pensions. So the employees felt they really gave. And in terms of our budget, we're actually in probably the best shape of the whole decade.
Yeah.
But then redevelopment happened.
Well, I want to ask you about that, because this is the brainchild of your predecessor, Jerry Brown, who's now the governor. Do you feel, in a sense, and it's not just Oakland, it's cities all over California that are feeling this pinch now, do you feel in a sense that he's betrayed Oakland by leaving you in a bit of a hole?
Yeah, I think it's hard for Jerry. Nobody saw that this recession would drag on so much. You know, when I watch Barack Obama, at least somebody who I know is probably in more pain than me, but Jerry also has a very tough situation. Quite frankly, Arnold Schwarzenegger put the deficit on a credit card for 4 years, and now there's no choice but to cut, and bad choices. What we're saying, though, about redevelopment is because of the court decision, not only does Jerry not get ongoing money for the schools, which he would have in the deal that was struck last August, we don't have the opportunity to use redevelopment to have economic growth. So it was sort of the worst of both worlds. And when the legislature passed the two bills, they expected, one, to take away the old redevelopment, and two, create a new redevelopment where they got more money for the schools. So the court said, you can't have redevelopment, but you also can't bribe the cities and make them give you more money. But by striking that down, there's no mechanism for affordable housing, for brownfields, for fixing blighted neighborhoods.
But you're going to have to live with that. The police department.
I think that there will be some compromises and we'll bring
in the
some
legislature.
things back.
The police department I want to talk to you about. It's also been in some turmoil, and this week federal judge Thelton Henderson told the police department that the acting chief, the interim chief, needs to check off any big decisions with a court-ordered, court-appointed monitor. Why has it taken so long? It's been 9 years. It's a problem you inherited. It's a problem your predecessor inherited. Why has it taken so long to adopt what the judge feels are some very basic reforms?
Well, first of all, let me just correct you. The judge said on anything having to do with the negotiated settlement agreement, that's on the civil rights issue. So the judge doesn't want to run the police department. He doesn't care about my 100 blocks or how I'm fighting crime in general. But he's saying, because we're about to make some major reforms, I think, that will be long-lasting, that before those are put in effect, he wants us to check off with the monitor. And if the chief and the monitor disagree, then the chief has to come to us.
But why has it taken so long? Because it has been 9 years. I mean, obviously the judge is very frustrated.
I think, quite frankly, in the past that we had chiefs that didn't take much action, and that it's very hard to make a cultural change. You could change the policies, but then getting people to change it, to me, it's like racism. When I was a young college student, I fought for ethnic studies at UC Berkeley. That didn't end racism, but it put some structures in place to teach people about minorities here.
Well, and you point out your past. You were an activist, you were an organizer, you were very much a part of the community. And there's a certain irony, isn't there, that Occupy Oakland has turned against you the way it has. I mean, you were in Washington, D.C., your car was surrounded. Why is it, do you think, that it has struck such an angry note with them?
Well, I think first of all, there's Occupy and Occupy. I think with most Oakland residents, they're getting pretty tired of the Bay Area-wide Occupy movement that uses Oakland as its staging ground.
But you don't see that kind of anger in, say, in San Francisco, where Mayor Lee handled it in a different way.
Well, you know, you guys use tear gas and batons too. I think it's a different time. It's how the media plays it. There's also probably a little misogyny and a little racism when I looked at what happened in terms of how the national media portrayed it and how Occupy's internal media portrayed it. But the reality...
You think they're tougher on you because you're a woman and an Asian woman?
I've been pretty disturbed that I had to stop my Facebook for a while and spend a lot of time putting in new filters and cleaning it up, and that Occupy doesn't listen to anybody but its own media. They have their version of what happened. It is not a true version. Oakland was in a very difficult situation. Right now, for instance, for the last few weekends, they've been marching through downtown. They've had vandalism, they've started fires, they disrupted the Lunar New Year in Chinatown, and instead, they're portraying it as the police are harassing them.
Yeah. We're short on time, and I apologize for that, but there are recall petitions on the streets in Oakland, and I know you're not focused on that, and I understand that. But what message do you have for folks who may be approached and may be asked to sign one of these petitions?
You know, I really haven't spent much time. As you've mentioned, I had a really busy year. You know, we're trying to reform our police department. I'm trying to adjust the budget once again, and I'm trying to still fight to maintain as much redevelopment as we can. I don't get much sleep. So what I've been saying to people is that recalls are supposed to be used when an official is corrupt or totally derelict. I don't think that's the case. People may disagree with me. Unfortunately, it only takes 10% to get the signatures on the street.
But what's your message to make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, you know, the Labor Council, Democratic clubs, the Chinese community have come out to oppose the recall in a really big way.
But what's your message? What would you tell them?
What I say is I think the recall is divisive, it's unfair, it'll be expensive for the city, and it will destabilize how people see Oakland. Oakland has just been named one of the 5 places to visit in 2012, one of the I think we're the 15th most educated city in the country.
Got a lot going for it.
We have a lot going for it, and most people that I talk to want to keep the city moving forward because despite the recession, Oakland created 5,000 new jobs. We had more new business licenses than in a long time, and there's a lot of investment happening in Oakland right now.
And it is the year of the dragon. You're
and
dressed
it's the year
in red.
of the dragon.
Gung Hei Fat Choi.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I hope all your wishes come true.
I hope the year of the dragon is prosperous as it's supposed to be.
Thank you.